Dimp Digital Presents Idle Game Chat.
Hello, Apps here from Dimp Digital and welcome to Idle Game Chat. This is the weekly video games podcast where we give our impressions of the video games that you can play today and react to the latest news from the wonderful world of video games, I should say. We're here every Monday on your favourite podcast app and YouTube, absolutely free. I'm joined once again by the reigning Dimp Digital Gaming Quiz champion. It's Tom Adkins, not Adcock. How's it going?
I'm good.
Excellent.
Bloody good. It's again. It's the day of the week.
Yeah, we get it on the right day of the week, these recordings, and we get a positive Adkins. We get it on the wrong day, and we get a negative Adkins. So we're pleased to have caught you on this better day. Now, we're still on that road that we was talking about last week. We was talking about this road to next gen, but we need to be taking the time out to be looking back at some of the bits and pieces from current gen before we put it out to pasture for good, before we wash our hands of it and never talk about it again. So we've done our PlayStation retrospective, our PlayStation 4, talked about all the games, the hardware, not all the games, it's a complete load of bollocks. The games that we found the most interesting or had the most sort of discussion points over, the hardware, bits and pieces like that. This particular show is a little bit different because the way the generations work is, let's be honest about it, Adkins, Sony and Microsoft decide when these generations change. The PC ain't doing it. I know they have their own generations of GPUs and whatnot, but in terms of the gaming space, it's most people just agree to go into this generation cycle of when Xbox and PlayStation decide to do a new one. That's when we'll start calling it the new gen.
Not now.
No, well,
now down to Stadia. They're going to be the generation.
Stadia will be the generational shift. We've got new throttling throughput for your streaming, so you don't fucking pixelate. But what that leaves is we can have conversations about all the exclusives and the published games from the Sony or the Xbox or the Microsoft side. But there is a plethora of multi-platform titles that can get left out of these conversations. Like you see the top 10 PlayStation exclusives, you see the lists of it, or top 10 Xbox exclusives. You don't be seeing these multi-platforms, or in some cases these Nintendo games getting a look in. So this particular show, we're just going to chat about stuff that was multi-platform or just not on the Xbox or the PlayStation. So that includes PC, that includes Nintendo. Fuck, it might even include mobile games if we ever find one that can be that's spoken about. So it's a bit more of an open discussion, an open show where we can talk about all sorts of different games, and then we'll finish this little road off at some point with an Xbox retrospective next week if it all goes to plan, and then we'll be there. We'll be on the eve of this fucking brand new generation. Anyway, patreon.com/idlegamechat. Send it over your money and we'll be putting it to good use. I promise.
Payday yesterday, come on.
Well,
21st, is it? Do we still get paid on that day? I don't know. Every day is a payday for me.
As it should be. As it bloody well should be. Well, hardware-wise, it's difficult to chat about this because, like I said, the PCs do have GPUs. We had ray tracing introduced and whatnot, but I'm not going to sit here and...
How many GPUs have we been getting in this gen since 2014?
Fuck no, it's probably about...
13.
It would have been...
So one every 3 years they do?
No, every 18 months probably. There's normally 3 of each. Did you count Nvidia and AMD? 3 times 6. You're looking up to over a dozen or so, possibly. So, but we don't claim to be PC connoisseurs here, so we ain't going to get snarled up in that. All I know is that 30 series has come out and it's fucking shit over everything, and it's at a reasonable price. So, PC gaming becoming a viable option for people on tighter budgets, perhaps, although still quite expensive. But then you could argue the consoles are. But we did get a few bits and pieces. We talked a bit about VR on the PlayStation kind of look back, but we had the breakout Oculus Rift and the HTC Vive that came out on PC. Now, you were you still are. You have that card, that Master Race card of yours. It might be a bit old and folded up, and
it is now with the latest game that's coming out, the big one, Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
My big is now the low minimum requirement at the end of the gen.
It might take a few swipes of your membership card to get in the Master Race headquarters, but I think you'll eventually get in. They might have to manually type your number in. But yeah, it's one of those things. But the VR thing, I won't harp on it too much, because I think the same sort of situations arise. But was there ever any consideration for you to jump on
I'll tell you what,
the PC VR? Because we've got Ogsworth Dave Salmon, who fucking loves it, and he's paid top dollar for the top VR headsets and says it's fucking great and uses it.
I think it was it you? Yeah, it was when we went to Brum, I think. EGX in Brum. And
yes.
I go on the HTC Vive.
Yes.
And I was blown away at how good that was. And I was like, wow.
Room scaling, wandering round.
That was the big thing. Yeah, I think I played like some fucking painting thing. It's like basically Microsoft Paint, but in the fucking world.
Yeah.
And I was doing that, and that blew me away compared to the PlayStation VR. Was there a concern to buy one? Not a serious one.
Yeah.
But playing that HTC Vive did make me think, fuck, if I ever did think about this, that would be the one to get.
Yeah. Get the room scaling, get the proper kit and caboodle. And like I mentioned, Salmon's got it. He fucking loves it. And he was trying to get a new one, wasn't he? Not long ago. I don't know if he actually got it in the end.
Gimmick, Salmon, doesn't he? He was a gimmick master.
It's just, if you got the PC and the space for VR, like, the one thing I noticed, 'cause I did dabble with PC during this time period with that Oculus Rift S, and yes, I had the 2x2 space, like the recommended sort of requirements, if you will, but it still wasn't quite. I didn't feel like it was quite big enough, because I was still sometimes just in a panic scraping the wall, or I smashed my knuckles on it once because I was reacting to something that happened on the screen. It just wasn't big enough. So you do need that room if you want to get the sort of best out of the room scale. And I think that's one of the barriers of VR. But it certainly at least went from, in my view, like a pipe dream to a viable product. Like, we've seen VR headsets sell well. We've seen lots and lots and lots of games developed for them. So it's far from a dead platform. And in many ways, you could argue that this generation was almost its coming out party to establish itself, put its flag in the fucking hole and say, look, we're here as well. We're going to take a piece of this game empire.
Yeah, definitely. Even as far as on my computer, it now says this PC is VR compatible.
What are you waiting for?
There it is. Go. So, yeah, something I'd like to, if they were more affordable and had the room, but I do see it as a bit of a gimmick, but it certainly isn't just that now, especially on the PC side. Like you say, with these added things, they're trying to make more of it, and it's not going away.
No, it's not. That's the thing. It isn't going away. So there's obviously a viable market there for it, and be interesting to see how it develops over these next sort of 5 to 7 years to see.
Thing is, they've sussed it now, haven't they? Because they're now doing wireless ones, and that was always my biggest gripe with it. It's just like you're wandering around with a fucking blindfold on, you can't see where you're going, and you get tangled up with fucking cords and wires and got headsets and that. And now if they're doing all that wisely, fucking, well, there is a limit. I was going to say sky's the limit, but your fucking room's a limit, isn't it?
Room's a limit, and there's still, like, with the Quest, at least the first iteration of the Quest, it was compatible with Half-Life Alyx, but you had to still plug it into the PC to play that game because it needed a bit more juice. So there's still a bit of a power problem that might not get solved in the near future, but perhaps in a couple of generations, where basically what I want to see is that these wireless ones are worked towards where they're a viable option and you can get all the games on it. They will work. Oh, okay, they might not be fidelity-wise might not be the best, but you can still at least play it without having to plug it into anything. And that's something that might develop with the Quest 2, and it might take to the Quest 3 for it to be realised. But that's where I'd be tempted to start looking and jumping in. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to keep an eye on VR and see how it develops. I mean, see what we get in the next sort of few years or whatnot. Nintendo had a bit of a breakout hit again. We had that Wii all those years ago.
What year did that come out? That was early on. In 06?
Yeah. The thing about the Wii was we had fucking Nana playing it. And you think at any point where you're getting Nana playing these consoles, you've hit home run.
Bust it out for
2006.
2006 on the nose. I remember getting one. I got one. Lopeman's mum. She's still listening. Lopeman's mum, actually, she worked in Sainsbury's when he was at Lloyd's, and she told me, she said Nana wants one for Christmas, and she said, I think they must have been sold out everywhere, and she said, my mum can get one, and she'd hide it out the back for me. And I strolled up from Lloyd's right through the town, went to Sainsbury's, went and met Lopeman's mum, and there she pulls out this thing. I think it was only about 180 quid.
180 quid it was, yeah. Crazy.
Oh, absolute cheat. And yeah, again, felt like a bit like a VR thing, because it was that new...
Like the motion controls, didn't we?
Motion control and that.
Little sensor. Yeah, it was. I had one for... I never bought myself one. I bought current wife. I've had loads of wives, but current. I was just thinking whether it was ex-girlfriend.
Henry VIII over here.
Yeah, current wife one many years ago, and I think even my parents bought one for themselves, or I got them one because they were just like cheap. For like 180 quid, then they'll be on offer over Black Friday and Christmas and whatnot. You'd find them for like 130 or something, and they were just like, it was almost like an impulse buy at that point.
It is, it did sell fucking incredible. Oh, yeah. Like even you go around like people's parents' house or something, and they'll have
Nana's got it,
player, Skybox, and there's Nana's fucking Wii stashed in the corner.
Yeah, the Wii Fitboard leaned up against it.
Yeah, that's it.
So Nintendo go from this dizzying height of breakthrough console with some excellent games on it, but in the background there's a crowd of gamers, core gamers, that are unhappy with this because the Wii just became shovelware city of just being put on it and piled on, and despite the sales and the financial success, there were rumblings that people weren't happy with it overall because of the toot that was put on it. Don't get me wrong, great games as well. Played a lot of them, it was excellent, but then they'd fucking done this Wii U. And at that point, everyone's like, Jesus H. Christ. And I
remember getting hyped for that because of the tablet thing. That it was, you could take it anywhere with you. It's like a sort of hybrid, the real hybrid we wanted.
Yeah, it was fucking crazy.
It was this thing, it was like, you can go, and if your wife's watching TV, you can take the controller, which was this fucking look like a kid's toy, like tablet.
My first Switch.
That's it, my first Switch. And then you can go and sit on the shitter and continue playing your game.
You could.
And no cunt bought that but Hall.
Yeah, I think Hall was the only person I knew, and I think Salmon got one.
So I had one friend, Pasola. He's the only guy that bought one that I knew.
Yeah, I wasn't interested in it, and I'm glad that it was put out to pasture. But the reason why I mention this is because, at that point, that was a failure, whether you like it or not. Like to hear it. The Wii U was a failure, and they just come off, like I said, we just spoke about the dizzying heights of the Wii.
The 3DS.
Yeah, 3DS. Yeah, pissing all over it.
Success story.
And then
they come to the Wii U.
And then you think, Christ, what are Nintendo going to do? And what they reveal in late 2016, there's rumours about this NX. The code name NX, and we're like, what is this Nintendo machine? I'm kind of at that point, I'm like gagging for a new good system to play Nintendo games on, because I didn't want to invest in the Wii U. I certainly weren't going to go and get the fucking Wii from fucking Nana's house and dish that out and start playing that. I wanted a new Nintendo platform because I was like, I'm committing to this gaming now. I'm like, I've starting to really look at what's on the landscape hardware-wise, and I want to try and get involved with some of this Nintendo stuff that I've missed. And we get this NX rumours. I'm like, what on earth's that? And eventually we find out it's going to be called the Switch, the hybrid handheld that also could be docked and played on your telly, making it I guess it is a console. It's a hybrid, like we mentioned.
I remember it was like a YouTube video, wasn't it? That they just released. I can remember watching it now. I don't know where I was or whatever, just sat in my room or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like we did no clue what it was going to be called.
No.
We heard it was going to be this hybrid, and then we get this strange little video with loads of people fucking clicking their thumbs at us.
People playing like the fucking Switch and like rooftop parties. I was like, people just don't do that.
Sitting on the bus and they're playing skateboarding whilst playing with it on the side. What's going on here?
Basketball game. They stopped playing basketball to play NBA on the side of the court. I'm like, well, that's not going to do that, are you? Come on.
Take it down the wreck.
Yeah, and then almost smack bang in the middle, I guess, of the generation. March the 3rd, 2017. Releases the Nintendo Switch, $279.99, 280 UK pounds.
And then me and you go, no, we don't want your PS4s day one. We don't want your Xbox Ones day one.
Yeah.
Switch will take that bad boy day one.
What was it? Why did we do this? Because that's a good point. We didn't get.
Very.
Was it? Well.
No, I think we were.
Was it Zelda being offered as a launch?
I think it was. Yeah, it was a little. I don't know. I think it might be the price, to be honest.
Yeah, under 300.
Under 300. It's probably like a sort of cluster of all of it, really. It was that hype of a new technology.
Yeah.
It was just before the
Horizon Zero. It was after Horizon Zero Dawn. It was like a week or two after.
The mid-cycle consoles, wasn't it? It was. So I think because I remember I bought 3 consoles in about a year. I think there's the Switch, then the PS4 Pro, and then the Xbox One X, and we bought them all. And I remember thinking, "Fucking hell, I've bought 3 consoles in like the space of a year or whatever it is."
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know why I chose to now start buying consoles on day one with the Switch, but it was exciting. It was something different, something that me and you never had done. Buying day one, I think we were both ready for this new sort of the hybrid experience.
PS4 Pro was already out.
PS3. Oh, was it really?
Yeah, November 2016. This was March 2017. So it came out.
I can't remember if I had
after that.
Not ready. I think I did, because that was when Albert was born. I remember people coming over and I was like, yeah, don't look at the baby. Look at my new PS4 Pro.
Well, in any case, we still bought 3 things in like 2 years or whatever it was. This
that's right, mate.
And got sucked into the Nintendo. Now, did you didn't own a Wii U either? So maybe it was just that. Maybe it's because we'd been away from Nintendo for an entire console cycle, wherever that fits into the generations, normally halfway, and thought, well, this looks all right, this one, and it's got Zelda on day one. Let's dive in.
Yeah, when you look at these consoles and their lineups, this was a hard one to beat when you've got that sort of game coming out day one.
Yeah.
And then you get Paper. What was that one you bought? Paper.
Snipper Clips.
Snipper Clips, that was it.
Yeah, played a bit of that.
But yeah, day one for us.
And we played a few games on it. Well, yeah, it's just interesting how that sort of slots into this generation halfway through and just comes out of nowhere. Selling like fucking gangbusters still. So, and there's rumours of a Switch Pro lurking, which I need a shot in the arm of the Switch, to be honest. I need something like that to motivate me. So I'm hoping that's all true.
If you go back into the Dimp fucking archives, we were doing sort of monthly updates of how we're getting on with the Switch. We did like a whole build up to it.
Yeah.
I remember. Then it was like a week with the Switch, a month with the Switch. Then we did like a year anniversary with the Switch. And it's one of those consoles that every now and again I'll get like a little sort of like couple of weeks where I'm like, right, I'm going to focus on the Switch, and I'll buy a new game and
Yeah.
start playing something on it, and then this lull comes,
Yeah.
and I don't get picked up for a month or two.
When you do play it, is it handheld or is it a
No.
docked job, or is it a bit of both, depending on
Bit of both, actually, to be honest.
what Rodney wants?
Recently, I suppose during lockdown, we played a lot of Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
So that was a
perfect
mixture
antidote to lockdown.
Yeah, it was. It was a bit of both for that. Then I've recently played FIFA on it. That was a bit of both, but I'd probably say, yeah, absolute blowing.
2 foot in Pickford, I bet now.
Oh, that'd be the way. But I'd say these days it's probably. No, I probably would say more. I'd say it's about 60-40, I'd say. Right. 60-40 in docked.
Okay.
Favour for me. Because I don't travel. I think if I travelled... Oh, I travel, boy. If I travelled and had the bollocks to take it with me to a commute, then I think I probably would play it more, but I don't. I do travel. I travel, boy, but I don't. Yeah, I don't commute long enough.
Driving, you can't be sitting there playing that whilst you're driving.
Exactly. But if I was a London boy, well, not in current situation, but if I was a London boy with a London commute and was brave enough, then maybe I probably would. I remember Jordan bought one.
Oh.
Feline. And he got through Zelda, and he said he just used to take it every day and play on the train. I was like, cool, you must shit yourself when you get to Badminton.
Well, they released those Switch Lights, didn't they?
That's right.
That came out. That kind of Paper's got one of those, I think. So that was kind of the counter to that. They were what, 200 quid, so they're about 70 quid cheaper, so less to be worried about, I guess. There is something about picking that thing up, and I agree, although it's quite practical. I mean, I've taken it on a plane and used it, but there is something about that feels, like I could break it quite easily by dropping it, and B, that it feels expensive. I don't want to lose it. You know when you get a new phone originally, it's like you don't want anything to happen to it. I still feel like that with my Switch. I don't want to damage it or have it lost.
It didn't help that there was like no, like if you broke your Switch, that was it. Everything was gone.
Oh yeah, no cloud updates, was there? Or cloud saves.
Completely redundant. So yeah, if that got broke, you are fucked basically. So that also weighed on our eyes, didn't we? So I think that was because. Did you take it with you when you went on your big travels to Barbados and all that?
I think I took it the second time when I went to the Caribbean, and that's when I played. That's when I finished off Ultimate Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. I nearly fucking blew my lid on the plane though at one point. I was trying to get through some of those.
Love it.
I was trying to unlock Boss as one of those spirit orbs, and the fight was just fucking impossible. And I almost a few times was very close to just making a real fuck of myself. But
that's the thing, you do a controller, you throw it across the room and smash it. That's 50 quid.
Yeah.
You do that big console, not only have you lost all your data,
exactly,
and maybe a game as well, you fucked in 300. That's it. It's everything gone.
Yeah, and I like the introduction they've made to the Switch Online, where you can emulate and play like the NES and SNES games. That I've played through quite a lot of old games via that. I've been working my way through the Super Mario Bros. Series and got about maybe halfway through Super Mario World, the Super Mario Brothers World, is it? Whatever that SNES one is. And I think I haven't quite finished it yet. Maybe I'll try and before next gen. But yeah, it's been an interesting ride with that thing. I'm kind of now at the stage where I want an upgrade to get this, get some more power in some of these games and get them performing a bit better.
What's it been? It's been 3 years now, hasn't it?
Yeah, over 3.
It's been a big year this year for them. They've not, we had obviously the big launch, and you had that fucking critically acclaimed Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Then
Odyssey.
That's it, Odyssey. They've been dropping these bombs, and then it's sort of taken a bit of a lull this last year. So you never know. There could be another maybe they're just waiting for these next gen consoles because they're going to release some stuff to sort of compete with it. But who knows?
We'll see. We'll see where we get to. But the Switch definitely has a place during this generation, and the Switch's story won't end until next gen, really. So it will be interesting to revisit what actually happens with the Switch. Does it ever end? Does it just keep getting built upon and built upon?
Until we get the 4K bad boy, the ray tracing on Switch, and Mario ray tracing.
I'll be well up
for
that.
I've done it in Minecraft, so...
Absolutely. Well, let's jump into some multi-plat games. Let's get in there, have a little chat about some of these, some of our favourites and whatnot. Now, the first one I got here is actually a game that released initially on the Xbox, but shortly after, perhaps 6 months after, less than that even, it came to PC and PS4. It's Inside Playdead, creators of Limbo. Now, if you go on the Dimp Digital YouTube channel, there is a series on Limbo that I did many years ago. Let's Play Limbo with Apps. And you can go and find that and watch me struggle through Limbo for the first time. But my first question is, did you play Limbo? And then my second question will be a follow-up to that relating to Inside. So before I distract you with too many questions, was Limbo played before Inside?
I don't know the answer to that question. I did play Limbo and have completed it, but I can't remember if it was before or after. I think it was before.
So would Rodney let you play Inside without playing?
No, that's what I'm thinking. That's why my brain might be wrong. Let me have a look. I'm trying to think what I played it on. I think I played Limbo on PC.
I played it on PC.
Yeah, I think I might have played it on PC. And then I might have even played Thing on PC, actually, come to think of it. Inside. I think I nicked it off Salmon.
Cool.
Hold on. I think it's on my achievements, Limbo. If it is. Cool, how's this new app work? I can't get at it.
It's not the end of the world.
No. In my head, I think I've played Limbo. I definitely played Limbo before. Let's pretend I did for the sake of this podcast. I've definitely played it to completion. Like yourself, struggled to get through it. Thought it was an interesting concept. These like a little puzzle platformer. Stylistically interesting. Never had this sort of black and white thing. Thought it was a good game. Fine, excellent. Done. Move on to Inside. I go, so it's the same people that done this, played this, and were just like, wow. Was not expecting that at all.
No.
And it's a similar sort of thing, like it's just that same sort of puzzle platformer, but it's almost mixed with a little bit of like a walking simulator sort of thing. There are obviously platforming, but a lot of the stuff is sort of just walking through environments, and I found that quite interesting. It's sort of like the world it's set in and stuff, you pick up bits of sort of like unintentional lore throughout the world.
And it's a mystery. The whole thing's a mystery. Even when you finish it, you still sit and think it's a mystery. But it was I enjoyed that. Play?
Yeah. It is, and people like it. What I quite like doing of it is just going onto YouTube and listening to people's sort of takeaway from it. Like the fucking theories they come up with about the whole environment, like what they're doing there and anything, and just that it was just like a weird experience, but a fun one, and it's just one of those short and sweet games. I think it's only about 2 hours long, isn't it? Something like that.
One of the best single session games you can possibly get your hands on, and it really is a special game, really, and it's simple, but sometimes they work. And I remember getting this pretty much on launch, and I think I actually did it in 2 sessions because I got stuck at one point, and I might have needed to go somewhere, but I've done like half and half and came back to it and did it. But just excellent all-round game, and Playdead. Limbo had kind of put them on the map for me, having played it and seen a bit of hype. But Inside, to me, was just like a step up. I was just like, wow, this is it's intriguing to see a similar formula taken to another level, and I'll be interested to hear about what they do the next game. It's been very long time. I've not heard anything really.
No, I've not heard anything. I'm surprised really because it was met with critical acclaim. So you'd think that there'd be a follow-up to it, but
here we go. Playdead and Epic Games announced in March 2020 that Epic Games will publish the next title, providing full development costs while giving creative control to Playdead, and will split the profits 50-50 after Epic recoups its investment on release.
Cool, that fills me with joy because that just means that there's endless
money for them if they need it, the resources.
Chucking free games at me twice a week and be like, fucking hell. Yeah. So that's excellent news. But brilliant game Inside. Should have been played by people if you've got a spare couple of hours.
Yeah.
Probably get it on fucking mobile these days.
Get it on. It's on iOS, it's on Mac, it's on PS4, it's on Windows, it's on Switch, it's on Xbox.
2 hours of your life. Get it played.
That's it. A true multi-platform title and an excellent one. So the next game, it's not necessarily a game, this one, because we can be quite loosey-goosey with these discussions, but I wanted to talk about the resurrection of a little-known franchise called Doom. Coming literally out of the fire, along with other games. Like I'd say Wolfenstein as well had a resurrection during this generation of games, but Doom in particular.
It started with the resurrection, the failed resurrection of Duke Nukem.
Yes, Duke Nukem 3D.
Was it Duke Nukem Forever?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
it's one that was like in development for 10 years or something, and it was dog shit.
I remember that came out last gen, but that was like one of the games that had been gone for so long, and you thought, well, there's no hope for things like Wolfenstein. There's no hope for things like Doom. They've all kind of just tailed off, or fizzled out, for lack of a better term. And 2016, we get Doom. Sort of like this weird like reboot type thing, which is fucking excellent. And then it's
lockdown time.
It's followed up with fucking Doom Eternal.
We get a lockdown. We get fucking the same day Animal Crossing comes out. We get Doom Eternal.
Yes.
Fucking believable.
Same side of the two sides of the same coin, they say. And I say different coins together, mate. They're not even in the same ballpark.
This
Happy
is one
lockdown.
Of those happy lockdown. Deal with that.
I forgot about that.
This is one of those things as well, much like when we was talking about The Last of Us last week, that Doom, you're like, well, that was fantastic. The nice, cool reboot. Does it need a sequel? Yeah. And then you get Harmless. Eternal, and you're like, cool. Maybe it did need a sequel, because now don't think I could go back to the old Doom.
Yeah, and the great thing, we got Doom back in a good place, which was handy to have in 2016. But the sequel, like you said, just kind of took it all to the next level, and I don't know, it is one of the best sequels out there, really. Like same gen and same franchise that I've played, especially in a first-person shooting game.
Well, that's it. Yeah, there's only so much you can do, I find, with this. People will buy COD and whatnot, regardless, whatever.
Yep.
But in terms of first-person shooting, that's why I quite liked the BioShock franchise, because it tried to change it up. Yes. And like I say, there's only so much you can do if it is like a new IP or existing IP or whatever. But that's what they've done with this sequel, is they've just tried to change it up and give you more tools in your arsenal, and trying to implement different things that you wouldn't normally get in in a first-person shooter. Now we've got like a tower mode that we can go back to and fucking unlock shit, and
all the soundtracks from the old games, it ties. I thought it'd done a really good job of, in a series that typically story is second or third rate, and even in the first one, it's a bit of an afterthought. But with Eternal, we've got actually, I think, really good lore-based storytelling and some good storytelling within the game, and it kind of builds out this whole Doom universe and expands it in a way that I've never had before or experienced, like to understand actually what's going on and what's happened before it. Like I learned all about the ancients and all this. Loads of stuff in there. I mean, it's all codex written stuff that you have to kind of read through. But I really enjoyed getting to know the Doom universe, and that wouldn't have been possible without Doom Eternal.
Yeah, and being a first-person game, almost, like the first person. You think of how this first-person genre started. People always will. Doom will be one of the names that people always say. And that's because Doom is just a picture of a gun. You never had. There was always the Doom Slayer, but you didn't know what he looked like really. You saw a little picture of his face getting battered at the beginning, but this game sort of made him a character. You sort of see him in the third person perspective for the first couple of times, and certainly you could sort of see his face a bit more. And it was just like a more. Almost a sort of God of War-esque grounded experience, not to the same extent. It wasn't so much a sort of narrative-driven game.
No.
But in terms of a first-person game, did have that extra weight
fucking
to
Doom.
it.
Who gives a fuck normally? But there's interesting stuff going on, I'll tell you that much. And the DLC's out now, and apparently it's fucking shit hard, which doesn't surprise me, having got to the end of Doom Eternal, and that fucking ramps up so much from when you first start. And apparently the DLC just kicks off where you start basically in terms of difficulty. So if you've not played it in a while, you'll be thrown straight back in at the deep end. But it's a great game. And now that Microsoft, we won't be probably talking about Doom as a multi-platform next generation. It'll probably be Microsoft only. The good thing is, if you're a Game Pass subscriber, these games are going to come. The next Doom, which I'm pretty sure we'll get, will be coming day and date on Game Pass, and I imagine the DLC to Eternal will as well. So I think bright future still for Doom. It's got another full game in it at least, I reckon. I don't know if it's got another one after that. I'll be honest. For all this, I might need my eyes replacing because the pressure.
And your ears. Lovely bit of metal music, but it's interesting. I am sniffing at that DLC. It's got a shark in it, so I was like, cool. but yeah, great sequel, like you say, a very good sequel, maybe the perfect sequel, but definitely should be played by people that are into fast-paced action shooters.
Yeah, would agree. Next up, Resident Evil 2, another one back from the dead.
Cool.
Maybe not actually. Maybe not back from the dead. That's not fair because Resident Evil 7 put Resident Evil back from the dead. But this does bring back a classic 90s game and bring it into the modern era. One of the great kind of reimagining remakes. Like we've spoken about Shadow of the Colossus, which is a remake, but it's very much Shadow of the Colossus presented again. This is we've got this kind of story and this setting going on. It was released on PlayStation 1. Let's take the idea of that and build a modern 2020 version of what we think that game should be. And the result is Resident Evil 2, and it's one of the best survival horror games I've played.
Yeah, incredible this was. And almost a surprise of how good it was. Like we got demo of it and sort of the build up to it and stuff.
Yes.
It was sort of quite shortly lived, if I remember rightly, as well. Like there was a trailer out, and then it seemed to come out quite quick after that. I don't remember it being such a build up to it coming out, but just blown away by how good it was. And that same sort of thing, like I know with Shadow of the Colossus, you say like being it built from the ground up. It's still, it still looked the same, and that with this, it does again still look the same, but it sort of has its own spin on it. It's sort of it takes stuff on its. It's not like for like.
No.
With Shadow Colossus, you sit pretty much. It's the same game.
Everything's where you remember it.
That's it. It's the same. This now, they sort of deep dive into characters that you hadn't spoken to before. Deep dive into things that happen throughout the game.
Yeah.
Conversations with characters that didn't happen, and just expanded it. And it was phenomenal. It shit the life out of me in places. Like, it really
you don't
made
like these scary games.
No, I do. The older I get, I struggle with these. It's weird though, because this week and the last week I've been watching nothing but horror films, so I should be able to play games, but because they're so more immersive, I'm finding like the older the game. I think it's because when it's last I played Dead Space, that really fucking killed me playing that game.
Yeah, of course.
I remember getting like sweaty hands playing it and actually feeling like anxious to play it. Since then, so I'm not great with horror games, I will admit that. But yeah, being chased by that big fuck throughout and
fucking hell.
Going through and having 3 bullets, like every time you miss a shot, you really felt that weight of being like, fucking hell.
Yeah. It was. It's a great mix of kind of the survival horror aspects and the thing I like about it, and people will rail on me for this, but these fucking tank controls, they keep getting defended to the day that people are dying, and they're like, well, it adds to the survival horror element because it doesn't control properly. It's like, that's garbage.
Does it fuck?
Does it fuck? It's fucking annoying, I'll tell you that much. Whereas in this, we've got a lovely controller in silky smooth modern 3D game that controls flawlessly. I can move, I can shoot, I know what I'm trying to achieve. It's just fucking scary sometimes because they built it to be like that. And
that's it.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying I enjoyed the Resi 3 remake, not as much because it wasn't the first one, I guess, for one, and it was a little bit of a truncated version of a game. I felt it was a bit shorter, but it's still good fun to play through. I hope they kind of continue this timeline of remake games, and I'm still gagging for one to be remade in this vein.
Yeah, that would be lovely. There's huge rumours of 4 being redone. Yeah, that'd be nice because that's another one I didn't go through fully. No. I've gone through it, but no, just a brilliant remake and almost a sort of birth of these remakes. We're certainly getting a lot of them now. These
open the doors for Metal Gear Solid, please.
Yeah, that would be the fucking dream. But out of the bunch, Colossus was fucking fantastic, but this was just as good and a great fucking remake.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well done.
A little bit of not really a curveball, but I feel like this game deserves a mention in this tier, in this sort of top tier that we're talking about now, just because it made such a big impact and showed the power of what PS Plus can do for a game, and then how you can build upon that and create a great multi-platform game. And it's Rocket League, like the quintessential football with fucking cars. That's the simplicity game. Simple mechanics, but so well built and put together, and rode the wave of the PS Plus sort of free subscription.
What made me get it? Made me get it. Game.
Most people would have got it for that, and then went on to have great success in the multi-platform world as a retail game, and now is a free-to-play game under the umbrella of Epic. So they've really gone through several stages of that, but just it feels wrong not to talk about Rocket League in this generation. I was toying with putting it in the PlayStation chat, but it weren't a true exclusive, and it's on Switch now, for fuck's sake. So once it gets on there, it ain't PlayStation, I'll tell you that much. And I just felt like this was just it's interesting to watch this game explode, like with almost everyone that touched it and played it. It was come from nowhere, got on rode that PS Plus wave, couldn't even play the fucker because the servers are all melting, and then they've built it up and carried it on, and it's still going strong today, and still as fun as it was on day one.
No, it's it. You can see it's going to be one of these multi-generation games. No doubt there's going to be PS5 and Series X updates.
Yeah.
And like you say, it's just going from strength to strength. It rode through us. You know, we've all had a couple of games on it before. We've all had little time. I think even some of the Dimp boys still play it now and again.
Yeah.
Young Pee Wee knocking about on it, and Hall and Logan, yourself on the Xbox played it on different platforms.
Well, it's all cross progress now. So it was a few weeks ago. I went on to the Xbox version and the PlayStation version, and I linked my account, and then all my rewards were funneled into one sort of account. So now I have everything I've ever earned through both platforms on one profile. It's great, like the cross progression that's been developed. And really, and one of the other things that I feel like Rocket League helped do, and it didn't really have the bollocks to do it, but I think it helped push it, was this cross-play business that we're now seeing. Like, it's one of the first ones I remember kind of begging for Sony to do it, and publicly coming out saying, look, we can just turn the switch on. Like, it's just you saying we can't do it, and then you know the dam has started to break on that front. We're seeing cross progression, we're seeing cross play with things like Warzone and Fortnite and all those big games. And I think Rocket League had a little hand to play in that because it was so popular still.
Absolutely fantastic. Definitely worth a mention.
Yep. The other one, which I know you've not played, but it's on this little list of mine, is Disco Elysium.
Ooh.
The RPG that I never thought I'd even wanted to play, and it was on that list of Game of the Year from last year in 2019. We did it, and it's one of my personal favourites from that year.
Every year you get these games that crop up out of nowhere.
Hades this year.
Hades this year. Last year we had this, and we got it might have been the year before that with Edith Finch, the other one. Yeah, What Remains of Edith Finch. These little games that crop up, you never hear nothing about them, and they come out and they're all the rave, and you play them and they're like fucking fantastic. I love these little hidden gems that you find or don't know about, and this certainly seems like one, and I'm intrigued to go through it, but I don't have anything to say on it, so I'll let you speed the way.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've spoken about it numerous times because I really do think it's a great game, and I'm looking forward to it, you know, eventually coming to other platforms. Like, it's still...
Is it Master Race only at the minute?
At the present, yeah, Master Race and Mac, and then it has 2020 listed for the consoles, but I've not been keeping too much of an eye on it, to be honest, in terms of when it's going to come out. But I think that'll give it a second sort of boost, and people will be like, cool, that's got some fucking boost on it, and they'll want to play it. But yeah, I mean, it's a role-playing game at heart, but it's quite non-traditional in the fact that it doesn't feature any sort of combat, you know, resolution of particular events or conflicts are done through dialogue trees and skill checks that are sort of pinned against your how well versed you are in said skill. So you could build up this character with really high perception, which means that if a puzzle or a problem comes up in that sort of realm, you'll piss it, you'll get through it quite easily. But if you've neglected something else, then like a physical type activity, say it's like trying to climb up something that's higher than what an average human could do, then you might struggle. So it's always balancing your skills about what you need to do, and you can't get stuck. I don't think it feels like at times that you can. Like sometimes it feels like you've hit a dead end. You think, have I fucked the character? Like, can I not progress? But there's seemingly always a way to work your way through it if you hunt around enough and find the roles to it. But even with all those sort of interesting skills and whatnot, the story is just excellent. Like how well it's written, how well the characters are developed, and it's mainly through reading, which is kind of a bit of a downer for some people. But again, you put the effort in, the rewards do come with Disco Elysium. If you've only got a console and you haven't been able to play it on Master Race, then when you see this trickle in on the consoles, give it a go, because it's if you're a fan of RPGs, especially like old school ones, then I think you'll love this. Like, it's excellent game, and it had a TV series adaptation announced, so we'll see how that turns out. Fuck knows how they're going to do it, because it's so complex and whatnot.
Well, I didn't know that.
Didn't know that. If I said to you Super Mario Odyssey,
cool.
what would you say? Because some people don't like this game. I've found.
Fucking bag of shit.
Oh, God.
No, I'm joking. No, I thought it was fantastic.
Beautiful.
Again, what I mentioned earlier, the Switches have taken a bit of a back step this year because they've had a lull, but we get...
Well, they want that Hyrule Warriors to be played.
That's it, yeah.
Prequel to Breath of the Wild.
You get the launch titles, you get the big thing, and then not long down the line, what was it, 6 months maybe, something like that? Boom, we get Mario Odyssey. Yeah. And I've dabbled in the Mario worlds throughout my life. Started off with a couple of Mario games. I've played through I had, was it 64 and a couple of the old school one on the NES, the SNES, the carts throughout the years. And this one comes along and it's like more sort of that 3D world. It's got a bit of a sort of updated sort of feel to it. It's sort of, a bit next gen-y. Yeah. In fact,
got all these. You got fucking collectibles and shit to do.
Exactly.
Little openly worlds of little tasks and whatnot. It was a lot more open to. I mean, the last time I'd played a 3D game was, I think, Galaxy, which was excellent, but this definitely had a different feel to it. In like you get dropped off.
Just glad I weren't fucking using a fucking wand. That Wii U one, the Wii fucking wand. So, I've got to say, went through it. Was about 10-15 hours long, but a great game with a great campaign, puzzle platformer. Lots of Cappy, this new feature that I thought at first, what's this? This is going to be weird. And they said that the Leviathan axe was good. Well, you ain't played nothing till you played with Cappy. It comes straight back to you. You can jump off him.
Yes, you can jump him. You can take over the enemies and use them to get round puzzles. You could become like a Goomba.
I am taking the piss out of it compared to the Leviathan axe. It was like a sort of an iconic weapon type thing, wasn't it? Really?
Oh, yeah, it's really. You had to use it and get comfortable with the calf, otherwise you weren't going to get through this game or do very well with it.
That's it. In terms of like gaming attachments and things like, guns, maybe say like the Gears of War Lancer, Leviathan axe. Cappy is right up there with with all of them.
And he's got eyes, so it's a real living thing.
There you go. Don't be fooled by its comedy appearance.
No, do not be fooled. I think it's a great game. Like that, I think for me, I prefer it over Breath of the Wild.
Blasphemy, says the Nintendo boys.
No, that ain't. No.
That ain't Barren Wasteland. I'm a
fucking second coming. Get off. I've tried we've been through it. I've tried. It ain't happening. No. Get me that Switch Pro where it runs not like a pig, and I'll jump back in. But for me, that year, Odyssey smashed it out of the park and overtook it. And was my game of the year. I fucking loved that game. Thought it was great, and I'd actually consider resetting that and replaying it one day. But again, just so many games to play. Like when you get thoughts of that in your head, I always think, what am I doing? Like we mentioned that backlog list I made of like games I want to play, 90 fucking odd strong, and I was like, right, you've really got to stop 84. You've really got to stop with this romanticising of playing old games or replaying games again, because it's not healthy.
It's too many you can't do that anymore, can you?
Well,
you can, but great one. I've always wanted to go back and get all them moons. Pointless, but. Just because it was just fun, just because it's so fun to play. It was just like a warm, exciting game.
Fun fact.
You get that.
Fun fact. Adcock did not like this game.
Oh, Pac-Man.
The Pac-Man Nintendo bloke doesn't like Mario Odyssey. I think he even said if we was doing a scoring system, I'd give it a 6.
Fucking hell.
I've never been so disappointed in all my life.
No. And this is the man that loves Shadow of the Colossus, so there's something in that brain, but it's obviously at fault here.
Yeah, it's something short-circuited. I don't know what's caused that. I think because he played it a year or so after it, and all we heard was it's the best Mario ever played, like all this stuff.
Right.
And it's the same as that fucking Breath of the Wild, really. You get hyped, you get told that it's going to be your favourite game you've ever played, and you get through it and you think, yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, that's the trouble. There is a lot of these outlets. There does seem to be, like we talk about it, about the Nintendo bump.
Yes.
And there was a thing. It seems to have dropped off this year. The Nintendo bump isn't working so much.
Fucking releasing anything good.
No, that's true. But previously, every game that came out was the second coming.
Yeah, it was.
So
people are wising up.
Yeah.
Snuffling onto it. One game that I did go back and replay, which ended up being a huge investment of time through both playthroughs, and you'll understand why when I say this, was The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. 2 full playthroughs I've done of that game. Now, this is, I think, a truly excellent action RPG. Side stories, fucking fantastic. Characters, fantastic. Solid gameplay mechanics, and a super interesting world to run amok in as Geralt of Rivia. What are your thoughts on The Witcher?
Skyrim was the best RPG in the world until The Witcher 3 came along and blew it away. Well, not blew it away, but
it crapped on it.
Pulled its pants down.
Both on Switch now, it crapped on it, so it's on the platforms that matter.
Exactly, but no, this is fucking fantastic. It came at such a good time because it was in the peak of the Game of Thrones franchise.
Yeah.
So you had this sort of fantasy RPG-esque vibe going on throughout the world already. The fucking phenomenon that Game of Thrones was, the TV show. And then you get this game, and it was the game that broke the Rodney brain. Rodney Brain cannot play the third entry of a game unless it plays 1 and 2.
Yes.
But this got the pass. I tried to play the first game. It's a bag of dicks. I couldn't play. It's a real PC game. You can't be playing with no controller.
No.
It's fucking dated as fuck. The brain just went, look, I know this brain of yours is fucked and you can't get past this thing. I'm going to give you a hard pass on this one. I'll let you steamroll through 2 in preparation for 3. So I did that, and by golly, master raced it. This was in the peak of when I told Ilbra I weren't getting a console. I was going master race. I bought this and Overwatch.
Yep.
Those are my 2 peak, and by golly, it took me a while to get to the end because it was a long game.
Oh yeah,
and I've still not finished the DLC. To be fair, I'm about halfway through the last one. Was it Blood and Wine?
Yeah, I mean, as part of like the package, like the DLC is the best expansion pack I've ever bought for a game. Like, it was £20 and you get both of them, and you get about 50 hours of content, like good, solid, excellent content. One is just a what do you call it? Like it's the same world, a story expansion, but Blood and Wine, you mentioned, you get a whole new map to go and run amok in.
Yeah, it was, and this was the game. When you get these open world RPGs, it's the main story, and what we like to call here at Dimp is bloatfill.
Yeah.
This game broke that mold, and side quests became interest.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Interest quests. They were just as interesting.
I mean, it's genius who have thought of that. Should we make the side quests good, and then people might actually want to play them? Oh, what a surprise, they do.
Yeah, exactly. So it broke the mold, and it was fucking phenomenal. The story was brilliant. The gameplay was excellent. The RPG elements were insane.
Yeah.
You know, the depth you can go into. The mods on PC were ridiculous. and now expand a fucking TV series that is something there. It's worth watching. It's not amazing, but it's definitely something good. And The Witcher 3 is a must-play game.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it was some people had bad experiences because of the technical stuff, the issues and whatnot, which I think's a fair criticism if you experience those. I have to say, hand on heart, I didn't experience anything like that. I played it on base PS4, and it was okay. It ran like a pig at Novigrad sometimes, but
yeah.
I
did on PC, to be fair.
Yeah, I had no game-breaking bugs or anything like that, and it felt like a normal open-world game that was like, sometimes weird stuff happens, but it wasn't egregious. And I feel sorry for those people that had that experience because, like you said, it's a must-play, and it's, now we're on the brink of Cyberpunk, the next game, and it's like the reason why that game's so highly hyped up at the moment is because of how good The Witcher 3 was. Simple as that.
Hey, how it must be a good game.
Yeah.
Even Biff completed it.
Even Biff. Yeah, he may have done it once. He may have done it multiple times. And this is a long game. This is a very, very long game. So that is true. If Sir Binalot is getting through it, then you should too. And another long game that Sir Binalot got through is Rockstar coming back. I mean, we didn't see them all fucking generation. They kept
GTA 5,
GTA 5, Switch, GTA. They haven't done that. They kept rehashing GTA 5, and
I'm surprised it ain't on that Switch yet.
So am I, to be honest. It could probably run on it, but they focus clearly on GTA Online. But we did get the sequel to Red Dead Redemption, which was called Red Dead Redemption 2. This was a game I spent fucking forever in, and unnecessary. I didn't have to either. This was just a game where I was spending weeks in the wilderness, just living with Arthur.
I remember
getting him through it.
This was a game. This was the. Do you remember the gate? What's it? A gate in it when it's a thing.
Yeah.
This was the time gate, the playtime gate. Do you remember? I lost about 10 hours or something. It wouldn't show up on my thing. Well, I clocked about 90, I think, in the end. I've spent 95 or something, which is long for me.
Yeah.
I think you're still top on my list on there. I think you sit around 140, 150 hours.
Yep.
So you played 50 hours more than I played. Mm-hmm. And I cleared pretty much everything.
Yep.
I think we did. We're all up. I think we all ended on the same percentage.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like 90% clears. Only like a few bits. Like we've done all the quests and that. It was just like the collectibles. I think we didn't do. But yeah, and you managed to spend an extra 60 hours, 50 hours in the game, just wandering around.
Yeah, I just enjoyed just pretending, like role playing Arthur in this world. Like I used to shave his head, shave his face. And then say, right, I need to get away from that camp. It's too toxic. Like it's like fucking Twitter, that camp. There's too much fucking backstabbing and moaning going on. I'm just going to take off and live on my own for a while. And that's what I'll do. I'll just go out and to ride somewhere in the wilderness, set up camp, do some hunting, do some fishing. There was always activities related to those that you could be chipping away at. Maybe go in the local town, have a drink, play some fucking blackjack. And I just enjoyed that experience, and like we talked about The Witcher 3 a moment ago, that I obviously enjoyed that game. We just fucking gushed about it for ages, but it was a different kind of experience where I was sort of playing a game in that sense, and I was playing a game at Red Dead, but I was more immersed and role playing on Arthur's behalf, if that makes sense. Kind of like this felt like a real world that was all working in and around independently of me, so I treated it as such and tried to, make Arthur a decent human. At times, sometimes the temptation was there to murder, but you sometimes have to. But the amount of random things that you can run into, it just has that. I was worried that it weren't going to have that sort of Rockstar sprinkle, that Stardust, but it
just about to say that similar to The Last of Us. It was the original Red Dead Redemption.
Could have been left. Could have left it.
Could have left it. Had that the perfect game, the perfect ending.
Yeah.
Could have left it, binned it, one hit wonder, done.
Yeah.
But no, they went back to it, and if anyone, the two companies, or maybe even three with CD Projekt Red, you think these games that know how to make a sequel now.
Yeah.
Rockstar, Naughty Dog, and CD Projekt, they're the ones you want making these sequels, because when they made this sequel, you say you had these problems, and then when it come out, it just blew us away.
Yeah.
The shit that you could do, the realism in it, with you're all taking a crap. Your beard growing.
The beard just the beard and the hair growing. I was obsessed
Invisible.
with. Like when I said, I used to shave my head and have a shave of his face before I went out, just so I would, when I returned, I would have a visible sort of progress of how long I'd spent away. And
it was, it's just like the real world stuff you could do. You'd get jumped just on the fly. You'd bump into a stranger and go on some fucking weird quest that you had no intention of going on.
Yeah.
You'd shoot up a town and go mental for a day, and then you come back 3 days later and you got fucking people going, "What are you doing back here? You can't piss off."
You remember?
You get fucking chased by a bear, and it's just endless fun. Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
And when there's games, was it the same year of God of War, wasn't it? I think. So
it
had
was.
Two phenomenons in 1 year.
Yeah.
This just took us away. It was so hard to get away from this game, like not in a bad way, but you just couldn't put it down. Yeah. And it was one of those games that once it was done, the lull set in, because you couldn't think there was anything better. That was it. That was the best you've ever played.
Yeah, I mean, the story is great. The characters are great as well. The open world itself is just best in class almost. And I think the thing that impresses me as well when I think about it is that you've got this huge open world of all these areas that you can go to, all this interaction that you can partake in, and yet the level of detail and the fidelity and the graphics on this is just, it's mind-boggling how something that big, that detailed, and that kind of dynamic can look that good and not miss a beat, really. No,
absolutely incredible. I'm just hoping that it gets another patch or an upgrade, maybe, to the next gen to carry it on, because it's one of these games that I'd like to. It might not be able to
replaying games and
replay it. Yeah, this is one I'd like to, but it's a daunting task of how long it was. But it's certainly another world I'd like to get back in and just to fuck about in and see what that looks like in fucking ray tracing or 60 frames per second and that all jazzed up, because it was absolutely gorgeous and must play again.
Excellent. Well, that brings a close sort of our top tier ones. We said we'll be brief last time about the second sort of tier down, but we'll see how we get on. So I've got a few here to chat about. What we got here? So here's one. I sort of dropped the seed earlier on, but I thought it's definitely worth a mention.
Mm-hmm.
It's Pokemon Go.
Oh yeah, I was wondering if you were going to say about
the
this.
Phenomenon that swept the whole world and is still, by all accounts, pissing it.
Got our slop ass out of fucking the house for one.
Yeah, it did.
Remember, me, you, and George went on a little drive.
We used to drive around, didn't we? Drive around Southend.
Down to Shrewsbury, around Southend, down the seafront.
To get the fucking...
In the park, to get fucking Pokeballs or whatever it was.
That's it.
It was mental when I think back at it now.
Everyone was playing it.
It was.
Nano had a go.
It was. I remember driving down Shrewsbury Ness Road once, just seeing a church, and there was just like a group of like teenagers, all with their phone in their hands. And ordinary, you think, it's just what people do now. But you could see them all flicking Pokeballs, and they was like, Jesus! Or you walk through the park and you'd hear people going, "Man, fucking Pikachu!"
Yeah,
it literally was fucking It was like a pandemic. It just swept through. Everyone was playing it.
Yeah, I remember me, Logan, maybe it was just me and Logan, maybe Hall. We actually spent a day in like Priory Park just to walk around and try and get some rare Pokemon, which is that's crazy, isn't it?
You think about it now, like doing that right now. Obviously not in this current situation, but if beginning of the year when nothing else was happening, January, February, if you'd have said that then.
I know.
New games come out. Do you want to go down the park and play it? Go, fuck off. Go out in the cold.
No, you're right. It come out at a good time from what I remember, like just as the weather was getting good over here. And actually I was talking to Hall about this because I was asking about like games of the generation and whatnot, sort of trying to compile that definitive list that we're going to come up with. And he was talking about Pokemon Go, and I was like, I wonder if it's still how it works now. And he said, well, to be honest, they updated it when COVID hit so that you didn't have to go out and visit places to kind of like advance and play the game. Like it made the game a lot more of a passive experience where if you were in lockdown, you weren't asked to go outside. You could just do it in your house mostly, which I thought was quite a smart way of keeping it relevant and also kind of at least morally suggesting to people, like, I know you normally used to going out for this, but you don't have to if you want to keep progressing the game. Because you know what people like, they're like, I want to get my fucking Snorlax
that's
fucking road. Whereas I thought that was a nice touch that they'd updated it to sort of reflect what most people had in their lives, which was restrictions on movement and public spaces and things like that. But yeah, what a phenomenon this was.
I say it's short-lived. It felt short-lived, but I think it's because other stuff come out. But it's not short-lived because, like you say, it's still going on today. And every now and again, I'll reinstall it. And
oh, really?
I think last year it was like nothing huge. I sort of just was down the park and sort of reminiscing about it, and I just reinstall it, and my login seems to already be on there, so I can just go back in.
On your account.
Same account, and then have a little 5-minute play, and then the next day I'll delete it, and it's just something that's still there. They tried to integrate it into the game and stuff, but I sort of lost a bit of interest there. But it definitely got its hooks in me when that thing, and we spent a good month sort of just roaming around.
Yeah.
South End, which it's amazing, really, just to show the power of video games. And this was a mobile game, which I don't typically tend to get involved in at all, really.
Yeah, I agree. I don't hardly ever, but this was a worthwhile investment of time, that's for sure. And I think the clever thing was, like, if they'd based this on new gen Pokemon, I wouldn't have been interested. Because for me, Pokemon still is Pokemon Red and Blue, the original, however many it is, 150, 200, whatever the fucking number is, people get it. But that's, to me, it's like, it is Pikachu, it's Charizard, it's Squirtle, it's Bulbasaur, it's Psyduck, it's that's Pokemon to me. And because at least they started with that, immediately I was like, oh, okay, this is the Pokemon I know. This isn't all the weird shit that's coming out that look like fucking monkeys fused with ducks. This is like proper Pokemon. So for all those people that grew up playing Red and Blue and Yellow on the Game Boy, I feel like immediately their ears were pricked up to look at this, and that was a very smart move starting with that. And it's that definitely they should go back and I know they've done that. Let's go Pikachu and let's go Eevee, but. No. Do a proper Pokemon based on that, please. Not this fucking flicking of Pokeballs to it. That ain't Pokemon. I didn't see Ash do that in the anime.
No, that's right.
Don't bastardise it. Two multiplayer games now, sort of hopefully quick fire back-to-back ones, but I think they deserve to mention because as a group and personally, we spent a lot of time with these games.
Yeah.
Destiny 1 and 2.
Phenomenon.
A bit of a love-hate.
Game of the year for me. Game of the generation. We don't need a podcast. Already done.
We've already done it. It's a strange one that we played a lot of it, especially 2, and we come out the back of it and say, fucking hell. But there was something there.
Yeah. It was I think it's the time that they came out. It was I don't think my body or mind was ready for the grind. No. I think like what was there was fun. It was exciting. It was probably the first time I've really delved into a sort of multiplayer experience.
Yeah.
Really, like I've dabbled in it, but never committed as such to this. Like when we were doing the raiding and that.
Or it weren't worth to start in.
No, that's right.
Demanding
it was, and a real toll on relationships. And
still not healed those wounds.
Still not healed. But yeah, when I look back at it now, and I think there was parts that were fun, and it was, going through that campaign, and that was quite fun. The grind is not typically something I really enjoy with these type games, even though I do tend to warm to them and do tend to buy them for some reason. These games as a service, I'm still doing it. Exactly, I'm still doing
Anthem.
it. I tend to warm to them, and then I moan about playing them because I don't like grinding, but still buy them and do it. So I must sort of subconsciously do it. But yeah, it was another phenomenon that sort of went through us. Dave entered the group and sort of became our leader among men.
Yeah.
And then dropped us like a bad habit.
Well, he's in the shadows. He's lurking. He's still lurking.
He's like the Undertaker. He's going to come back one day. Huge comeback. WrestleMania, he's coming back.
Well, there will be a Dimpomania one day, so maybe that can be his grand return.
But no, you stuck it out a bit further than me. You delved into the DLC. That's what used to fuck me off a bit as well. The
DLC.
The amount of DLC they dropped, and then I was always a little bit behind, and it was catch up, and I think it toppled up on me, and then them raids really stuck it in my heart, and then we got the meltdown gate.
2 was made just stupidly a bit harder. It was only a small tweak, but they gave you those revive tokens. Each of the raid team had one each, so I could revive one person throughout it, and then eventually, like, people go down, and once more than 6 downs have happened, you can't die anymore, any of you, because it makes the way that the raids are developed, particularly on the last boss, is that you pretty much need everyone to be doing their job to maximum capacity. One fuck up and it's gone. That's where the relationships break down, because people have lapses and some people can't be bothered, or it's not even that, it's just hard. It's hard to concentrate and deliver what you're supposed to. And then you had the added pressure of, if you went down after the tokens have been used, that was it. You have to wipe. Do you remember that word?
Yeah.
Wipe.
Oh. Yeah. Amount of times we just jumped off the edge of the map.
Yeah.
Did we kill it?
Yeah, wipe this. So
disheartening. It was like 2 a.m. People were aggravated, a little bit drunk, and you really felt the pressure of if you fucked up and caused a wipe.
And you wouldn't get away with it.
No,
you'd be held account with.
You had 5 other people. Just it was interesting. And
I don't regret the hours spent in it.
I don't.
But would I want to do it all again from scratch?
Oh, that's probably the thing. The trouble with me is I missed out on the early raids, so
yeah.
I was at the back end of the raids, and there was that first one we done where the fucking with the basketball hoops and all that.
God, Wrath of the Machine.
That was a labour of love. It was an hard bastard. It took us fucking hours, but we still have the YouTube clip somewhere, and it was so good. Just our reaction when we finally got it late in the night, and the congratulations, like the cheering at the end, and that. Yeah. That's what sort of spurred me on. And we got the same sort of feeling with the last one, but fucking hell, we only got through by the skin of our teeth.
Yeah, we've gone through the ringer at that point. We were suffering from some sort of trauma from the just trying to get through it. It left a horrible taste in everyone's mouth. But honestly, it was strange seeing Destiny and then Destiny 2, particularly Destiny, because it was kind of the first one, seeing it just engulf people. I remember Hall and Logan just.
Yeah,
that's all they played for 6 months.
That's all they played, wasn't it? Yeah,
that's all they played for 6 months. We started doing the podcast back sort of near when it come out, and I'd be like, every 2 weeks we'd do it with them. I'd go, what would you play? Oh, Destiny. What are you doing? So I was getting some filaments for the next up, and I was like, what are you talking? What do you mean? What does that entail? I was like, well, you just go to this point in the map and you kill these enemies. Then what after that? well, you just go back into it and do it again. What? And it seemed so foreign to me. And I ran through the campaign once, didn't stick with me. I was like, I don't know what these idiots are doing. Then sort of Sir Dave made his presence felt and kind of took the time to explain how it worked and why you would do said things and what we're working towards, which is these raids or these harder strikes. And then I kind of got a little bit hooked on it. It wasn't to that extent. I was still playing other games, fortunately, but certainly was something I was happy to commit to. And it was kind of, just looking back, odd to see these games take such a stranglehold on.
It did become a bit like an addiction type thing. It was just like it became. Yeah, you just find yourself. And it was one of those games where you can lose yourself. Like, you pick it up and play it, and then all of a sudden you look and you're like, fucking hell, I've been playing this for 5 hours.
It was.
I've done nothing. I've just done the same.
Like one power level or light level.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was just that sort of addiction to carry on and level up and get ready.
It was certainly the first type of those games that I kind of experienced. And I don't know, maybe there's chance of another one, but they're just so time consuming that it's. I like these ones that you can jump in and just play if possible, which is difficult for most games these days. But one that was a little bit easier, that didn't require leveling, but still had this multiplayer edge to it, which again tore us apart sometimes, but in other cases brought us together as a Dimp clan. It was Overwatch, which was the hero-based shooter. I enjoyed my time with this. It always felt a little bit more light-hearted and relaxed.
Yeah,
very,
there wasn't
very
the added
few.
pressure.
No, there wasn't ag, was there? It didn't seem with this. It was,
no, it wasn't a grind or anything. It was just number one that Hall and Logan and that sort of obsessed over and played multiple thousands of hours in it. And that's what I find hard with them, because this is the sort of genre that they stick to, so they're pretty good at them. You know, like they're, in terms of skill level, they're always a step above us. So when we play, or certainly when I play with them, I always feel like they're always carrying me.
Which I like.
So it makes
feet up.
which is exactly. So it's quite handy, but you didn't have that too much of that added pressure. You know, it weren't like you were making. Well, I suppose we probably was making him lose, but it certainly wasn't as bad as when you were fucking up in a raid. So it was just quite fun going through. But then we got into the competitive element of it,
rankings,
the rankings, and to this day, I say Bloodborne is that niggle on my shoulder getting that gold trophy.
Gold ranking.
Still, to my day, that's another one. I still need to get back on there and do my competitive games and get a gold thing. But maybe my Overwatch days are done. I'm not a first person competitive player. I think I'll have to just nip that in the bud.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it for its time. I mean, it ran its course as I find most multiplayer games do, but it was interesting early on. It was actually a bit frustrating early on trying to find characters that you were comfortable with.
That was the thing, yeah. With these type of games, I like mixing it, but when you're doing this sort of thing, you can't just fuck about and be whoever you want. You
needed a composition in your team, didn't you?
Exactly. You need a structure, and that's like Hall and that knew what they were doing. And if I wanted to be fucking Genji and that weren't allowed. Or you fucking running around with Hanzo and that. It's quite funny, but no, if you're going to do it properly, then they needed structure in that. But it is fun. It's the whole hero aspect. Like, it was quite exciting getting a new character added every now and again, and they all play completely differently. So it's nice to have a mix, and it's, for that type of game, it's a brilliant game and still ongoing. It's played a lot. There's number 2 on its way at some time.
I'm surprised they're doing that. I really thought they'd just build Overwatch as just like as Overwatch. There's no need to be a second one, but the fact that they're doing it kind of, I'm surprised. I mean, can we take over our skins and stuff from the Overwatch 1, or is it a full factory reset? What are we gonna? It seems unnecessary as well, because the structure and foundation is so strong there.
It is a peculiar thing, but it's sort of been all talk and it's sort of fizzled out now.
It's true, it has.
waiting see what's happened. Maybe they're watching all these fucking games as a service just implode.
Yeah.
Hang on a
Stay away
minute.
from that.
Yeah. But no, another good time.
We did mention Breath of the Wild earlier. I respect it. Decent, but I'm not having this second coming talk. I don't know what your thoughts on it were, because some say it's the greatest game ever made.
Yeah, for me, I really enjoy playing it, and I know it's a special game. I think the thing that gets me is the physics. I think are the standout thing of this game. It's the stuff you can do in it that really blew me away. When I think of a game like a video game with some of my favourite games, when I think of I think of a story and narration. That for me, like with this Zelda game, I didn't think that took the back step for me. Like the story, it was serviceable, but nothing blew me away.
Nothing happened.
Exactly, that's right. The world, that's another thing for me. Like when you look in the horizon, some of the just the visual look of the world and the things you can do, the places you can go. You can go
to every place you can see, pretty much.
That's it. Yeah, that aspect blew me away. But for the vast majority of that game, you're trudging through fucking barren wastelands. So it's not.
Sprinting every 6 seconds, then your stamina runs out. Sprinting again, or jumping on a horse.
That's it. It's a pretty game. It's sort of almost started off a trend now. You look, there's new games coming out, and they're all just ripping it. They're taking it. You got this Genshin Impact. Which, that's the people that have made that have obviously loved Breath of the Wild. And Phoenix Rising. That's another one that looks like Breath of the Wild. And it is a gorgeous game, but the world itself was big spaces of nothing. So, but yeah, but it was the gameplay loop that was fun. The combat was quite satisfying, and some of the shrines and the puzzles, and like I say, the physics were huge for me. It's just I'm with you in saying it's not the second coming, because the story wasn't as strong for me. I don't have that sort of allegiance with Zelda. I've dealt in it and played a few of them, but it's never been that sort of legendary status for me. But I do respect the game, much like yourself. I think it's a brilliant game, and one that people should play, because obviously a lot of people love it, and it is a good game. But there were just a few little things that niggle me. The fucking weapon degradation.
That was the point where I was like, when I'd get like a decent set of weapons, and you talk about just running through the world, like there's no point in me going to that camp and wasting 2 of my weapons to get a worse weapon back. Like, it become counterintuitive to even engage in combat at one point. I was like, what's the point in this?
Exactly.
And also I was like, what's Ganon doing to that poor Zelda in there? Like, he's had 100 years. And they're telling me to sort of run around collecting Kurok seeds. I'm like, I need to get in there.
That's it. I
need to save her.
The concept of that was quite fun. The fact that you could just go there you could complete the game in about 10 minutes, I think. There's like a speed run of someone just legging it to the boss and doing it. Exciting, but yeah, it's when we talk about, I think I said it in this podcast or last, that this generation, a lot of outlets have had this Nintendo bump. I certainly feel that this game definitely had that, but who's to say, you might play this game and think it is the second coming, but
you might just get sucked into all those 100+ shrines and think this is the fucking bollocks, finding these and finding all the secrets and because there's loads of shit hidden in the world to go and explore. It's certainly not a negative
not
game
a bad
at all.
Game at all. No.
And to be honest, like there's bigger fans of it than us within the Dimp clan, so don't count it out of appearing in a game the generation's shortlist somewhere in the near future, because there's people that back this game, and I still have great respect for it. It just wasn't kind of what I was after, and it did come out shortly after Horizon Zero Dawn, so I went from this rich, beautiful looking open world with robots and fucks running around to this fucking shithouse barren. Fucking goblins.
It was sandwiched in between Horizon and Red Dead. We got like that, then this, and then a couple of years after we got Red Dead.
What's a goblin?
Was it a moblin?
Moblin, yeah, I can't remember what they're called now. But like I said, if Switch Pro comes, I might dive back in one last shot because I finished it, but I wanted to do more of the shrine stuff.
Certainly one of those worlds you could easily jump back in and just fuck about with just to get away from the road, even if you're fucking surfing down a mountain on your shield.
Then that fucking breaks. So then you're left fucking cack-handed with no shield, which ain't ideal. Last one. This is it, the end of the line, unless you've thought of any more during this time. But this is more of a... I feel like this is just an important signpost game because the franchise had disappeared and been gone for so long, and it had been, for all intents and purposes, apparently abandoned. But this is now a glimmer of hope in Black Mesa and beyond. It's Half-Life Alyx. Is this now the signpost that there will be a Half-Life 3 developed in the future? I've played it. It is a VR-only title, which I think in some ways enhances it, but on balance doesn't bring enough to the table. It's a great VR game, perhaps the best I've played, but still doesn't solve some of the baked-in issues I just have with virtual reality as a platform. But more importantly to me, this shows that Valve are sniffing and are considering, at least, looking at the future of Half-Life as a game series, and that there's potential for free to come in. And I think there's seeds and bits and pieces in Half-Life Alyx that could move things along in a future game that's free and links back in with 2 and does all the good stuff that people and the fans of the Half-Life series want and kind of need after the cliffhanger of episode 2 on Half-Life 2 that we're all kind of stuck on. So it's more of it's a great VR game, and probably if you've got a VR set, you should be playing this because it's probably the best game you can get on it. And B, it shows that there's still a beating heart potentially for Half-Life, and that can only be a good thing, unless fucking Gabe goes, it's only on VR. And then I'll be fucking fuming, if I'm honest.
Yeah, that would be livid. Yes, again, I've not played Alyx, obviously not having a thing on that, but it's one of those games that is coming sometime. I think it's going to be one of those ones that's a bit of a last guardian. They're working on it, but they're so sort of secretive about it and don't want to give anything away. So you're sitting there thinking, are they working on it? Yeah. And like I say, a game like this comes out, people probably thought this was number 3.
Yeah.
And this is all we're going to get, and it might very well be.
It might be.
I think it's a beloved franchise. Anyone with a PC would have delved into their Half-Life franchise.
Yeah.
I think there's enough warrant for it. There's so many memes about Half-Life 3 being announced and that I think until they announce it, then I think they'll realise they go, fuck me, cool. A lot of people wanted this game.
Yeah.
So it's just a bit of if not when, but it seems to be working in their favour because I think the longer you leave it, the more hype it's building, and maybe they're doing this on purpose.
Maybe, but then with hype comes disappointment if you don't produce. So it's a tricky balance. You've really got to have your bollocks set and be happy that
they're so advanced, because that's going much like the Breath of the Wild, the physics. Maybe they're rather waiting for the tech. Maybe the tech that they want to do this game hasn't even been invented yet.
Oh, God.
But for another generation, we might get it.
Oh, no. Imagine it'll be augmented reality. You have to get one of those what are those things called that Microsoft were doing?
I know what you mean.
Thousands of pounds.
One of those.
HoloLens?
HoloLens, that's it, yes.
Is that it?
That's the one. We'll have to invest in them. Yeah.
Maybe that's what's required. $3,500.
There we go.
Gabe goes, if you want to play it, and that's what you got to do.
Buy them.
Yeah.
Record sales 10 worldwide.
Deary me. Well, unless you've got anything you want to bring up.
I suppose not really. Well, I want to, but I suppose we've got to mention the tiny little game Fortnite, I suppose.
Yes, Fortnite and, well, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
To say that, we'll just bundle them all in together.
Yeah, Fortnite,
this generation
Apex
has been
Warzone, like they've all had their. I mean, I played a few of them. We played PlayerUnknown's a couple of times, and Fortnite I played a handful of times. I haven't played Warzone. I've kind of, as you'd expect, us not being multiplayer boys, sort of dried up on them. But
even what's it called? What's the new one? The fun one? Fall Guys, is it?
Oh yeah.
Sort of a similar sort of thing, but no, it's been the rise in Battle Royale this gen.
It's transcended like a normal core gamer audience and gone like mainstream Fortnite.
Yeah, it really has, hasn't it?
Aren't there people revealing like music tracks or TV shows and announcements in Fortnite?
In Fortnite, there's rappers that have released albums. They even had like a film night. They showed like Inception, I think, one night. Game. They had like a music festival within one. It's ridiculous. Like when we talk about Rocket League and how much that sort of transcended over the years, this game, like Fortnite, how much that is in such a short space. It's just. No game is like, I suppose Minecraft's probably one of the closest things that's come to it, but no game has had this short success and rise in popularity like Fortnite. Whether you love it or hate it, it is a phenomenon, one that we should mention. But
you're absolutely right to bring it up. So I'm glad you did. It's we've had probably low experience compared to other people playing it, but I know that on the Warzone front, Hall is still playing it every other day. So plan in the future is once all this hype is settled down for next gen and looking back at current gen is to get him on to talk about Battle Royale in general but specifically why Warzone's kind of sticking with him at the moment. And is it just going to be another one of the conveyor belts when another one comes out, he migrates to that, or is it, or have they found a home, for lack of a better word, with Warzone? Is this the perfect balance of Call of Duty, kind of like pretty much baked in gameplay that we come to expect, with the formula of Battle Royale that's just actually the perfect mix for COD fans that were getting burnt out on the series, or Fortnite fans who wanted something a bit more grounded? Who knows? Like, these are all questions that I'm hoping to ask the Oracle himself on a future podcast. But too right for bringing that up, Adkins. The Battle Royales and the Fortnite in particular is transcendent. No matter what we think of it, it stands on its own 2 feet in this generation as an absolute breakout for the gaming industry.
I got one more game that's an odd mention because it's not really a positive one, but I just feel it needs like a generation. It needs a mention for this generation.
Yep.
And I think the reason it needs to be mentioned is because certainly if you're going by generations, it's probably this generation's biggest disappointment. Not so much now, but certainly when it was released.
Cyberpunk. What?
We're going to go. I just wanted to make a little mention to No Man's Sky.
Wow, you're going to hurt some people's feelings saying that.
That's it. Like I say, it's great. It's now in a nice state, but I can't remember there being a game last gen that was this sort of amped up and sort of hyped that
Colonial Marines,
we all
aliens.
were. Yeah, that might have been.
Not to this level. No, it wasn't. This was
this game had everyone by the fucking bollards, didn't it? And it was everyone was having it, and just I think that was it hit hard, that disappointment of that game.
Oh yeah, like
it's good to see that they've stuck with it, and now it's in a state where it's it's worth playing now and should be played by people.
Yeah, like it's insane that came out in 2016, and yes, was just a shell. Well, no, it was still pretty detailed, but it just wasn't fun for a long time to play. Like, a lot of people gave up on it, and rightly so. And really, I don't think you would have got this last gen. We're talking 360 and PS3 era still, because we're still in this gen. So I don't think a game like this could have survived or thrived, because it took update, like not in the console space anyway, to kind of flesh out and build this game. And it's kind of lived through 4 years of big, huge updates that have added massive amounts of stuff that was promised from day one, like multiplayer, for example. That's now like it's the big monkey off their back. They've got multiplayer in No Man's Sky. There's huge freighters that you can build, like the bases you can build now. It's almost like a completely new game. It's kind of like a bit of a poster child now for a game that did go wrong at launch, but if you work at it and build and put into place content that people are requesting or after, you can still turn it around. Like they have, by all intents, turned it around into something that's a viable. I wouldn't have any problems recommending really No Man's Sky to people if they had a passing interest in it. It's just that people have had their bollocks burnt from buying it at launch, and rightly so. They'll never go back. That's completely valid.
No, it's an interesting game to bring up, because like I say, it's got to be this generation's biggest disappointment at launch, but it's also could be classed as one of the best turnarounds as well.
Yeah,
it's a real landmark in this sort of generation, and one I thought does deserve a little mention just for a different reason to the other games.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with it. And it's funny how it was dubbed as almost like a PlayStation game, and it was kind of published on the PlayStation 4 with Hello Games, but it was promoted and marketed as a PlayStation game, and then we found out it was on PC, and then 2 years later it comes out on Xbox, and we're still waiting for that Switch version to appear one day. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting story, and one that I'm not convinced could have been. Maybe I'm just completely forgetting, but I'm not convinced a live game like this could have existed in the last gen, just because not just the amount of work it needed, like just the tolerance of people to wait it out and accept it. Like live updates and content being added, all free. Yeah. If you've got the game, you'll get the updates. No paid DLC, no monetization inside the game itself.
No.
There's a lot of nefarious fuckers penny pinching out there, and Hello Games did get it wrong at launch, no doubt about it, but they've, in my view, more than made up for that. And now it is like you said, it can be seen as a success story. Yeah, just not for Biff, because he's never going to go back to it.
Not a chance.
So Bin Lot will never reach the centre of the universe, unfortunately, and be enlightened.
What's the saying? I forget now. Burnt once, shy. I can't remember.
Burnt once, shame on. There's something like fool me once, shame on them. Fool me twice, shame on me, or some bollocks.
That's it.
I'm just counting the updates they've done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 updates they've done since 2016. And one of them is a VR update, so they added that halfway through.
Incredible. What's amazing, it's still only about 20 gig, I think, the game.
Oh yeah, it's small. And you can find it pretty cheap as well if you look around, so if you've not played it, now's the time to jump in. There's so much content there, you probably won't be able to get through it all.
Yeah, multi-plat as well, apart from that Switch.
Yes, absolutely. Well, there we go. Platforms in the books as well. There's only one piece of the puzzle left, and it's Xbox, which we'll be looking to get done. You might get a rest for that one, Adkins. I feel like you've served your purpose well. Done almost over 3 hours worth of retros on multi-platforms and PlayStation, and we have, as you mentioned,
you were joking earlier on our chat earlier. You said a 4-hour marathon.
It's turned into that.
Shy off it.
No, it's
that's what you got to do.
Got to put the work in. But
these consoles deserved it. It's a good generation.
It was a good generation indeed. And there's still a little bit more to come from us. And then we'll be on the eve of next generation. Will it be Gen 9? We're on Gen 8 now. Yeah, cool. Generation 9. Cool. What's going on?
What's going on? Get me that mobile. Fucking trash these gens in.
Get me that fucking Amazon Luna. Fucking. What's the fucking point? Fucking 800 quid's worth of kit sitting there. Piss off. Put it on my mobile. Next.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah. Right. Well, thanks for that, Adkins. I'm sure we'll reconnect soon because there's a lot happening. And thanks for your time, especially for these retros, and everyone else. Thanks for sticking with us and listening. And we'll be back next Monday. So be sure to subscribe if you just found us or stumbled across us. We're on all good podcast apps and the YouTube. You can find us at Idle Game Chat, and you can subscribe through pretty much any method that you deem to be appropriate. So nothing more for us to say though, apart from thanks for your time and ta-da.
This was a Dimp Digital production.